Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. But today, instead of a single verb, we are going to look at two verbs that can be pretty confusing for a lot of English language learners. So my question for this video is lay, lie, laid, lied. Which one do I use? And we're going to explore that. So earlier this week, we had one video that discussed how to use the verb lay, and we had two videos that described how to use the verb lie. So I think it's important we start off by looking at the different forms that these verbs can take. So the first video, lay, we said making the progressive, we're just adding an ing to form laying. This verb is irregular, so our past tense is going to be laid, and the participle is also going to be laid. I made two videos that discussed the verbs lie. And that's because this verb can have kind of two very divergent meanings, and whether it's one meaning or the other depends on whether it's a regular verb. So our first video was focused on lie, meaning to tell a statement that is false. So saying something that is untrue or not true. So I've made that note there. If that's the way we're using the verb, then we're going to make the progressive form by dropping the IE, changing that to a Y, and then adding ing. The past tense form is regular, so we're just adding a D here. And so since it's a regular verb, the participle will be the same. When we use the verb lie, though, and to mean sort of to be horizontal on a surface, right? And we said this is horizontal, this is vertical. So to be horizontal, or another similar word if you think of recline, so that idea of lying back, that is an irregular verb. So the progressive form is going to be the same, lying. The past tense, though, becomes lay. And that is what ends up confusing a lot of people. So if we look here, past tense form, lay, it's the same as the base verb. And that's what confuses a lot of people. The participle here is lain, lain. So I'm going to focus the rest of this video really on the difference between lay and lie when it means to recline. And we're going to kind of talk through some examples that I hope will illustrate this. So we're going to start off by looking at this picture. And I think many people will look at it and see a very cute dog. And I'm kind of thinking about how could we describe this picture, what's happening in it. And I'm going to do this in a couple different verb tenses to help illustrate this, right? So in maybe the simple present, right? Maybe this is a habit or a routine, something this dog does every day, right? I might say the dog lies on the porch every day. Right? So I'm using the verb lie, meaning to recline. So the dog we can see is horizontal. It's not standing up. It's lying down. Okay. So because the dog is one thing, I'm adding that S there to make the third person singular. Now, if I wanted to talk about what's happening right now, right, I would use the present progressive, and my sentence would become the dog is lying on the porch now, right? So again, dog is singular, so I use is and then my progressive form. Okay. Now let's pretend we're talking about the simple past tense. I would say the dog lay on the porch yesterday morning. Okay. And I'm changing the time signals. I hope you notice in each of these every day to note that this is a habit or a routine. Now for the progressive, yesterday for past, but we could use any number of time signals. Let's do one more, and maybe it's a future. I'm making a prediction about what's going to happen. The dog will lie on the porch later. Okay, so the dog will recline. And what I think is maybe helpful for us to notice with all of these sentences is that we don't have a direct object with the verb lie, right? So after our verb, um, we do have the phrase on the porch on these sentences, and that's to describe where this is occurring, but it is not receiving the action here. So it's not our direct object. And that's going to become important in a moment. So I have another picture for us to look at. And imagine the person you see in this picture has many, many shopping bags and they are very heavy. Okay, so now in this case, if I want to describe what either happens or is going to happen or did happen, again, I'm going to think about that. And let's say I want to describe a habit or a routine. So again, I'm in the simple present. I might say, she lays her shopping bags on the table. Okay. So here I've switched to the verb lay. And again, since my subject is singular, I'm using that third person singular. So I'm adding an S to the verb. If I want to talk about what's happening right now, right? Maybe she's taking items out of the bag. So I would say she is laying her purchases out. Okay. So is laying. If I want to describe what happened in the past, I might say she laid her shopping bags on the table. Okay. And let's pretend this is a future and another prediction about what this woman might do. She will lay her shopping bags down as soon as she gets home. Okay. Now, with all of these sentences, there is a direct object with the verb lay. So in the present, past, and future, simple present, simple past, simple future, it's shopping bags, right? That is the direct object in this sentence. That's what's receiving the action. In the present progressive, it's her purchases. That's the direct object. And so that's always coming after the verb. And this can be a helpful way to remember whether you should use lay or lie. So if there is no direct object, lie is probably your best choice. But if there is a direct object, you can say lay. And I want to note here that many native speakers struggle with this verb. And I will tell you, as a child, I'm quite confident I never used these verbs right or in the correct way. So it's pretty common to hear someone's maybe tell a child, lay down, right? The child probably understands what's meant by that, right? Go to a horizontal resting place. But grammatically, that isn't correct. The imperative or the command there would be lie down. Okay, so I've got one more example because that's a question I've heard from students. They're reading a passage and they see the word lay, L-A-Y. They're like, I don't know, is it lay or is it the past tense for the verb lie, and how do I know? So what I'd recommend to everyone is using some context. So let me read this paragraph to you and then we'll talk very briefly. So yesterday was such a hot day. The temperature was 90 degrees, but it felt like it was 100. Jose works outside every day and he thought he was used to the heat. Near lunchtime, he started to feel dizzy and he stopped sweating. Jose's boss asked him if he was feeling okay. He wasn't. Another coworker helped him find some shade. Jose lay in the grass for a little while, and then his coworker drove him home. So, this might be a pretty easy example. I've given you a lot of context. I started this passage with yesterday, so hopefully you're already thinking, simple past, simple past. But if we look in the The sentence where I've underlined our verb, lay, Jose lay in the grass. There's no direct object. So this is a sign that it is the verb lie. So Jose reclined in the grass. And that might be another way for you to think about using which verb. Could you put the word recline into the sentence, and would it generally make sense? So, and here that test would work. Jose reclined in the grass. So I know that this is the past tense form of the verb lie. I really appreciate you watching today's video, and I hope it's helped you better understand when you should use lay and when you should use lie. Have a great day.